Hey everyone, it's Dr. Joyce here. It's been a little while since I did my last video, so I wanted to do another one today. And as some of you guys may know, if you follow me on Snapchat or Instagram, I had some Botox done about 2 weeks ago now. So I wanted to do a little video answering some of the many questions that I got online about what it is, what I think about it, how it felt, what it looks like, etc. So first of all, what is Botox? So Botox is derived from botulinum toxin. So it's actually a bacteria. It's a toxin derived from a bacteria that causes paralysis of muscles. So I wrote this in my blog post, but I actually had a patient with a Botox infection many years ago. And it actually can have devastating effects when it's a systemic infection. It can even cause death because it paralyzes all the different muscles of your body, from muscles in your GI tract so that you can't move food through, you can't poop, you get really backed up. Or the worst case scenario is if it causes paralysis of your diaphragm, which is the muscle here that helps to bring your lungs, help your lungs expand to help you breathe. So infection with Botox, very bad, very bad. But what we've done in the cosmetic world is we've used that paralysis of muscles to our advantage. So when we are injecting Botox, we're injecting the same toxin, but diluted, way diluted, so that we only get a temporary paralysis of the muscles that lasts about 3 to 4 months. So why did I have Botox done? Many of you guys on social media said, you don't have any wrinkles, you're so young, so I'm 28, why did you choose to have it done? So as part of my dermatology training, we have to learn how to inject Botox since we'll be doing it on our patients in the future. So we had an evening session in which one of our attendings very graciously volunteered her time and one of the senior residents, and they basically taught us how to do it. And the best way to learn is through practicing. So I volunteered myself, along with another one of my co-residents. We both volunteered to be the subjects. So we each had several units of Botox injected into our foreheads, in the glabellar region, in between the eyebrows, just to kind of see how it feels and to practice, basically. So how did it feel? I was a little bit nervous going into it because I'm squeamish around needles, I am scared of pain, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. So the first thing we did was we diluted the Botox. So it comes in this little powder in a little glass jar, and we dilute it with normal saline, and then we draw up all the little syringes. So before we began, we looked at the subject, so in my case, me, and we took some before photos. So we're taught always to take before photos, because if the patient is not satisfied afterwards, they come back, they're like, you messed up my eyebrow over here. You can always look back at the before photo, and say, well, actually, that's kind of what you look like to begin with. That's besides the point. So we took some before photos of each of us. And so I raised my eyebrows so that you could see all my horizontal lines. And then I also frowned really hard to try to show where my lines were in between my eyebrows. And you can see that here. It looks pretty silly. And based on the number of lines we had, that's how we decided how much Botox to inject. So where do we inject the Botox? So Botox is FDA approved for treatment of lines in the forehead region. This is from contraction of the frontalis muscle here. It's also approved for injection into the glabellar region. So you have your corrugator here, and you have your procerus muscle in the middle here. The corrugators are responsible for these lines, and then the procerus is responsible for these lines here. You can also get it done for crow's feet, but I forewent those because it looked kind of painful, to be honest. So Botox is meant to treat dynamic wrinkles. And what are dynamic wrinkles? This is a really important point because dynamic wrinkles are the wrinkles that appear when you move your muscles. So Botox is not meant to treat static wrinkles, which are wrinkles that are present even at rest. So if you already have many deeply etched lines in your forehead, in between your eyebrows, Botox is not going to change that. So don't be disappointed if you go and get Botox and that doesn't happen. So I didn't actually have any static wrinkles yet, but I did have dynamic wrinkles, and so that's what we aimed to treat with these injections. So first of all, my co-resident took a white marking pen and marked out all the places that he was going to inject. So on me, he did 4 points above the topmost horizontal line in my forehead. So like right here, he drew out 4 different points there. And then he did 1 injection right in here, right smack into the procerus. And then he did 1 here, and also here, and here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you also decide how many units to inject in each one. So because I don't have that many wrinkles, I ended up just getting 17 units injected, 1 in each of these, 5 in the middle, and then a couple on the sides. If you have stronger muscles, meaning that you are a little bit more wrinkly, you'll end up getting more units injected. So a typical session for a woman could range anywhere between 30 to 50 units, for example. So after he marked my face with a white marking pen, then my co-resident drew up all of the different syringes that he would need for all of the separate spots. And then the injecting began. And I actually have a video of me getting injected live that day. So I'll link to that somewhere here. And if you click on that, you can take a look at what it looks like. My friends say that I look pretty stoic, but that was me trying to, not show the pain. Is it painful? I mean, yeah, I got injected like 11 times in my face. It was painful. It bled a little bit. It's not like super, super painful, but if you've ever gotten like a tuberculosis test, it's a little injection right underneath the skin. That's kind of what it feels like. We used the smallest needle. We used the insulin needles that diabetic patients use to inject themselves daily with insulin. So it is the smallest gauge needle you can get, but you still feel it. It's not horrible, but you still feel it. I know at some practices they actually put on topical lidocaine and have you sit for a while to try to numb up your skin so that when they actually go in and do the injections, it doesn't get that painful. So I also wanted to show you guys kind of the results. So Botox takes about 4 to 7 days to kick in to slowly paralyze the muscles, and the effects last about 3 to 4 months. So what are some side effects of Botox? I mean, the most common one is if you have an asymmetry of the face that develops from asymmetrical paralysis of different muscles. So depending on where you got it injected, one side of your eyebrow might be higher, or one side might be wrinkle-free and the other side have a few wrinkles. You could also get eyelid ptosis, where your eyelid droops a little bit if it somehow affects the muscles there. If you get injections down below, you could get an inability to smile, your usual smile. If that happens, go back and see your dermatologist, because oftentimes there are ways that they can offset that by injecting a little bit more Botox into other places. Other side effects may include allergic reaction. So that's a really important one. If you've ever had an allergy to Botox, you are never to get it again, ever. It's just too dangerous. That brings up another point of who should not get Botox. So pregnant ladies, sorry, no Botox for you. Same goes if you're breastfeeding. It's a pregnancy category C drug. And also if you have a history of neuromuscular disorders, meaning you have problems with controlling your muscles in the first place, or if you've weakened muscles because of disease, then obviously this would not be good for you because it works by further paralyzing your muscles. Also, if you have a rash going on, or if you have open cuts or sores on your face or on your skin where you're about to be injected, obviously that's a no-go because you don't want to be introducing any more sources of infection or irritation or anything like that. So wait until you get your skin issues figured out before you go forward with the Botox. So here are some of the photos of my before and after. I took a couple pictures at before, day 1, day 4, day 7, day 9. So you can check them out, and you can see that really the main effects I found was that I can no longer frown, which, you know, I didn't really frown that much to begin with, but now I really can't. So I still can lift my eyebrows. You can still see the wrinkles here. I didn't get that much. You know, I didn't want to look frozen or for it to look unnatural. So I said to just do a very low dose so I can still raise my eyebrows and those wrinkles are still there. But frowning, let me see if I can show you. That's the most I can frown. And, you know, that's actually a good amount. That's all I need. Obviously in the before photo, I was like really scrunching my face to try to show, you know, how many wrinkles can be created there. But it's a huge difference. Like, it's a really big difference. And yeah, I just can't frown as much anymore. So the other interesting thing that I wanted to talk about was, you know, there is this trend of younger and younger women using Botox. Not so much for treatment of dynamic wrinkles that they currently have, but more for prevention of wrinkles, prevention of static wrinkles that are harder to treat. You can think of it as, you know, if you are injecting Botox and paralyzing these muscles so that you can't lift your eyebrows and that you can't frown, then there's no way that you'll actually create those deeply set lines from overuse of those muscles. So in that way, that can be kind of like a prevention of further wrinkling or prevention of wrinkling from even starting. So I went into PubMed. I wanted to look up if there's any scientific data about the safety, long-term safety of young women doing Botox for many decades. And I actually couldn't find any good data on that. Studies have been really small. I couldn't find, you know, most of them said that there were not any long-term effects, but they only followed patients for like 2 to 4 years. So really nothing has been done looking at decades of Botox injection. And that's probably because Botox is relatively new. It was only approved in the early 2000s for treatment of wrinkles. So we're just not far out enough yet. So that's something that still kind of remains to be tested. So would I do it again? You know, personally, I was never bothered by my wrinkles to begin with. So if not for this free session of Botox where I got to practice and in return I was practiced on, you know, I don't think I would have gone out intentionally to seek Botox. It can be very expensive. You know, it can range from anywhere from $12 to $18 per unit. And I got 17 units, so, you know, you do the math. Most women probably need like 40 units times 18, you know, every 3 months. Like, that really adds up. So I would rather spend that money on other things, to be honest, at this point in my life. But what does intrigue me, and I think a lot of my friends and patients, is Botox for prevention. So, you know, we'll kind of see. The jury's still out on that. We'll kind of see if more experiments are done, if more data can be done showing that they actually do prevent formation of static wrinkles. You know, that would be really interesting to see. So that's all I had for you today about Botox. Those were mainly the questions that I got on my Instagram about, you know, injections and how much they cost, side effects, how does it feel, things like that. So if you have any other questions or comments, you know, feel free to leave them below. And don't forget to check out my Instagram, my Facebook page, You can also follow me on Twitter, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. Well, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your weekend.